Hello again, welcome to the CNC Lathe courses. In that lecture, we're gonna talk about Mastercam C-axis options here. As you know that it's quite difficult to create C-axis coded by using actually and manual process. So, as you know that we created some actually face toolpath here, like this. While we are creating our process, we're gonna turn to and actually isometric perspective and then 2D options, or 3D is not important right now, but while we are creating our wireframe we can turn to the 2D options, and then I can click actually right view. And most of the time, and some students forget to change to top view and then turn to the toolpath. At that point actually maybe most of the time and can be effect and plane options. Okay, so you can be and see like these options here. This is the working coordinate system tab and the tool plane, lathe upper left options, and you can also see the construction plane here, lathe upper left options. Okay, that's fine. Okay, if you don't like if you don't see that's kind of and the options here, you can select here, select plane, and you need to change your plane. Okay, you need to push that button and change your plane. Okay, that's fine. As you know that we can focus on the linking parameters. We can also write that kind of code. It's not important. For example, I can write here 15 here and the 10 here. This is clearance plane, this is the retract plane, and this is the maybe let me and that's and the 13 and 12, and then maybe it can be 10 to 0. Okay, let's see what we're gonna get after that and the process. Okay, we're gonna start from 10 to 0 as a absolute. I can click here and we calculate it. Okay, that's it. We're gonna start from here. This is the 10 and we're gonna reach here. Okay, when we turn to simulation mode, we can also see the step-by-step options. This is my first step. This is my actually and the fit plane. You can click here. This is my first step, 7.55. Okay, where is coming from? Actually, this is my first step of our roughing process. Okay, that's also another and important point. I think we can write maximum rough step as a 3. So when we divide our and the depth of cut here, this is the 10 millimeter. When we divide 10 to 3, actually we cannot get integer number. So when we use the 3 to 3 and another 3 after that, maybe we should use and 1.7 or something like that, but that's not and we want. Okay, we need to use the homogeneous and the depth of cut. So that's why we are writing maximum step rough step parameters here as a 3. After that we can calculate the top of stock to depth. This is the 10. We need to divide 10 to 3. Let me check that here. 10 divided by 3 and we're gonna get 3.333 and something like that. Okay, so we need to use actually as a 3. That's not possible. So we write here and yeah, this is the number of my roughing step. That's not possible, so that's why we need to use 4. Okay, that's gonna be my actually rough of step. Of course, we also need to consider and number of finish step. This is the 0.1. So while we are calculating that step, actually we need to calculate like this: 10 minus 0.2. That's because of our finishing process. We're gonna get and the 9.8 we need to divide that process and the 4, and then we're gonna get 2.45. This is my maximum step, but this is my maximum rough step. This is my rough step, real rough step. Okay, it can be calculated like this, but that's not important. We just need to write maximum and the rough step, and Mastercam calculated that stuff and easily. But if you turn to simulation mode, and you can see the different options here, maybe we can turn to 0 here. Okay, it's obsolete. I just changed that stuff here, 0 to -10. And then when we consider our first step like this, we're gonna see that -2.45. Okay, I already mentioned about how can we reach and that area. Okay, that's it. That's all about actually and the linking parameters. We only consider obsolete. Okay, it's not important to select incremental because our geometry and the working coordinate plane is the same. That's why I cannot show you what is the difference between the absolute and incremental in that example. Of course, I'm going to turn to different example to mention about that stuff later. Okay, let's turn to parameters again. Okay, let's also mention about how can we change our geometry. Okay, I can use and that point here, we can click the geometry and we can delete that geometry and we can add new one. At that point, actually, we don't need to use the chain options. We can also use the partial options here. And I'm gonna start from here and maybe finishing here. This is my starting point with the green arrow, and then this is my final point with the red arrow. And then I can click OK button here, and then click OK button and recalculate our toolpath again. So at that point, we're gonna see actually and some part cutting process here. This is my starting point and finishing point. Of course, at that point, actually retract position, it's gonna be more important than the previous one. So we need to be careful about that retract position. If I am writing here, maybe it can be 0 and -1. If I am writing -2 here, it means that we're gonna see some the crash here. Okay, that's not safe. Okay, so at that point, actually, let me mention about that stuff. We can turn to the cut parameters, and then as a contour type, we can change our contour type as a ramp. Okay, this is the ramp options. If you click on the 2D, this is the contour tool type. We can also see that stuff here. We can start from here and use the retract position, go to the near starting point, and then keep going that process again and again until to reach the actually final and the depth of cut. But when we turn to contour type, we can click ramp options. We can use the angle here as a ramp motion. We cannot see any and the depth cut options here. This is non-active right now because we turn to as a contour type ramp. So we cannot see, we cannot give some parameters in the depth cut. Okay, we can organize here. That's why that is closed. Okay, I can turn here and I can write here angle, and we can also see the depth here, and I can write as a 1 here. At that point, actually, we can select depth. It means that we're gonna start from 0 to 1 while we are moving on that line. Okay, this is my final depth, but we're gonna start from the 0. So this is the ramp options. If I am turning to plunge options, it means that I'm gonna and the plunge at that point 1 millimeter, and then we're gonna move our geometry direction, and then we're gonna create another 1 millimeter ramp here, and we're gonna move here, and another 1 millimeter here, and we're gonna reach here, and another 1 millimeter here. This is the ramp options. Okay, this is the 1 millimeter. If I am clicking here, this is the depth. Maybe we should write here 3. At that point, you can see that this is the ramping options. When we turn to simulation mode here, and we're gonna see our ramp options. This is the Z position. It's gonna be reach -3 when we reach my final depth. After that, we can also start from here, -3 to 6, and then -6 to -9, and then as a final, we're gonna see the -9 to 10. At that point, you can ask me, okay, what about the final depth? And we're gonna see some angle our final depth. That's not want, and so that's why we can turn to actually make and the pass at final depth options here. If I am clicking here, and then you're gonna see that's kind of toolpath, and the 3 to -6, -6 to 9, and the -9 to 10, and then -10 as a constant, and then we're gonna create some and final depth here. Okay, we can also select that one. If I am selecting that one, guess what? And we're gonna see that's kind of toolpath here. -10, -10, 0 to -3, and -3 again is a constant, and then -10 to 6 here, and -6 again, and -6 to -9, and -9 to 10, and then we can repeat that process again. Okay, actually this is the one way ramping for open contours. Okay, if you not select any open contour, it's not gonna see in your toolpath. Okay, it must be open contours options. You can also see the linearization helix options here. If you select some arc at here, actually at that point you can also see and some linearization options here. Oh, I'm gonna also turn back to and that options later. Okay, this is the contour wrap options for and face toolpath. Okay, we can turn to 2D or ramp options. If you turn here, this is also important. Sorry about that. We can at that point we can prefer to our depth. At that point we can write our ramp angle here. It must be 10 degree maybe, or we can prefer to use ramp depth. Okay, and the both of them is the same toolpath options, but our input here, our input angle, at here our input depth. Okay, so that's all about our and the face contour parameters. I'm gonna turn to 2D. That's gonna be activated like this, and we can recalculate our toolpath. And I can also change my chain, delete it, add new one. I'm gonna turn to and the final chain and click here, here, and recalculate our toolpath. This is my recalculating process. Okay, I'm gonna clean all my dirty operations here.